Solar panels can provide a sustainable solution to our energy problems. But they also come with a couple of issues. For one, solar farms are massive, and they have to be set up somewhere that gets a lot of sunlight. Now, if only we had a large mass of unused land that gets guaranteed sunlight every day. This is ALESAF if, and here's what would happen if we covered the Sahara Desert with solar panels. More energy will fall on the world's deserts in 6 hours than the entire world will consume over the next year. The Sahara Desert is well known for being the world's largest hot desert. But it's probably a lot bigger than you even realize. It's nearly the same size as China. It spans across 10 different countries in 3 different time zones, and it gets absolutely massacred by sunlight. This is a map that shows annual sunshine hours across the world. There are some notable hot spots in North America, South America and Southern Africa, but nowhere gets as much as the Sahara Desert. Most of this China-sized chunk of land gets more than 3,600 hours of sunlight a year, and within that big chunk is this other chunk that gets more than 4,000 hours a year. For reference, that's nearly 4 times the amount of annual sunlight that Germany gets. Most of this is because the Sahara Desert is pretty much directly along the Tropic of Cancer, which means the sun for a lot of the year is pretty much directly over it, and clouds pretty much never form or even exist. If we cover just 1.2% of the Sahara Desert in solar panels, and it would be roughly the same size as the US state of New Mexico, we could harness enough power to meet the energy needs of the entire world. Usually, a solar farm is built to prevent changes to the environment, but if we built one in the Sahara, it might cause some changes of its own. If we lined the desert floor with giant solar panels, it would double the rainfall in the region and increase vegetation cover by about 20%. Sounds a little unbelievable? Well, let me explain. Saharan sand is unusually light in color, which means it tends to reflect a lot of light and heat back up into the air. If we covered the sand in dark solar panels, it would mean that more sun would be absorbed and the ground temperature would increase. Warmer air rises to areas in the atmosphere where it's cooler, and moisture there condenses and falls as rain. Before you knew it, one of the most extreme climates on Earth would undergo a significant makeover. So if these solar panels would not only provide sustainable energy solutions but also add much needed greenery to our largest desert, then what are we waiting for? Shouldn't we be out there building these things already? Well, it's a little more complicated than that. For one thing, it's great to produce enough energy to power the world, but then you have to worry about how you're going to get it to everyone. The most likely place this energy would travel to first is to Europe. Exporting sustainable energy would do great things for a lot of African economies. This is a real-life plan that's undergone significant amounts of research and investment, but why are they only planning on building solar farms around the Sahara's perimeter? Well, while there's lots of obvious benefits to constructing solar farms in the empty Sahara, there's also lots of problems. First of all, the Sahara's emptiness itself is both a blessing and a curse. On the one hand, it means that almost nobody will have to be relocated or moved off of their land, but on the other hand, there isn't any infrastructure to actually get the massive amounts of supplies into place in any kind of cost-effective manner. I mean only like 4 roads that even stretch across the Sahara from the north to the south. There are huge empty pockets of land across the desert without a single road at all, and some of these areas like this northwestern pocket of Chad are more than 600 kilometers away from the nearest road. Transporting billions of solar panels to a remote area like this will necessitate building countless new expensive highways or railroads to get them there, and that's why Desert Tech is only planning on constructing plants around the Sahara. But would they have the means to do it? Currently, electrical grids in Africa aren't very reliable, and they'd need power lines of around 800 to 3,000 kilometers, 500 to 2,000 miles, to get where they needed to go. Transporting power over long distances leads to power loss of up to 10%, which means that an already expensive project would get even more pricey. Africa is home to quite a few unstable governments, the kind that raise some pretty big red flags with investors of multi-billion-dollar projects like this one. On top of that, this would be a long-term project, so there'd be a lot of moving parts. Several countries would have to be involved, and any one of them might see a changing political landscape over the years that could disrupt or put an end to the whole thing. As great as this project would be, it would probably be better to attempt it on a small scale first. Maybe solar panels could be used to power some small African villages, help to spread access to electricity,